heroism. It's the pursuit of two ideals, excellence and a higher purpose. This noble mission is not just found in Hollywood. It's a game changer for businesses devoted to it. Almost all business owners launch their company to make a difference in the world around them. Join us on the Heroic Experience as we talk with business owners, senior leaders, and established entrepreneurs so that you too can elevate your business to heroic success. Now, here's your host, John D. Hanson.
Welcome back to the Heroic Experience. So glad to have you with us. We are proudly sponsored by Kaufman Media. Check out their digital signage solutions and far more at their website, kaufmanmedia.com. That's spelled COFFMAN media.com. So honored to have on the phone with us today Michael Watkins. He's an investment advisor representative and a serial entrepreneur, as well as a brand new author of a book I thoroughly enjoyed called The 401k Revival. Michael, thank you so much for being with us today.
Absolutely, John. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to our conversation, man. The time flies every time I have guests on. And the first segment we always start with are the wow stories. And it doesn't matter whether it's one or a business of 1,000 employees. What are a couple of the wow stories that come to your mind, Michael, of clients that you have helped dramatically, may not have even known who you were or what you did, but they discovered you or you discovered them and you transformed their experience. Could you share one or two of those with us this morning?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so, obviously I work with business owners, but I work with their employees as well.
Okay.
And, there was a couple about 6 years ago, and I remember, I think it was during our second or third meeting, they were actually shocked to hear me suggest that I felt like they should make a lifestyle change. They just came in and they wanted me to run some numbers and that type of stuff. And so as we talked it over, they really started to see the positive impacts of my longer term strategy. Mm-hmm. And, they had been empty nesters for many years, and they've been living in this home that, quite frankly, was way too big and expensive for their circumstances. And they had a small business. They just sold it. And part of the sales contract had a clause in it where the husband had to, come on board as a manager for a set salary, for a set period of time and all that. Mm-hmm. Now, I remember what they were going to pay him was less than what he had been used to pulling out of his business, but, he had some cash in the bank, and all of the headaches of running the business were gone. Mm. Now, she was eligible for a pension, but she was a few years off from being able to maximize those benefits. So we looked at the financial rewards of working a few more years, and, they both agreed that it was the right thing to do. And I might add, during that time period, we used most of her income to fund a small investment account, which really paid big dividends for them. Hmm. So, they sold the big house. We made great investments with that money. And life started to change for the better.
Yeah.
And they found a small house to rent. Hmm. And, I remember it was just newly remodeled by a real estate investor. And the property included, water, sewer maintenance. And the husband actually told me that the freedom that he was experiencing was off the charts.
Sure.
There was no more taxes, insurance, association fees,
right,
home repairs, all of that stuff. And they ended up saving more and spending less, which was a winning combination for any retiree.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many moving parts in people's lives, no matter what phase of life they're in. And I think that as I've gotten connected with more and more financial advisors, professionals that I greatly respect about how they do what they do, not just managing money, there's way more to it than that, or there should be. Clients that are not satisfied, it's because they're not experiencing the value adds. And so many things you touched on were value adds of, you're not just coming in like our one guest that I had on previously said that when he went as a kid to mow somebody's lawn, it wasn't just to cut the grass. It was what could he do to add value so that client was like, I'm definitely having you back and I'm telling my friends about you as well. Is that the experience you had with this family, with this couple?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I think I've received 3 referrals from them. And, it's funny. So we reworked their portfolio, and now they have a great balance of tax-free and taxable income, and they're living entirely off of a pension and Social Security. So, and as well, we help them put their end-of-life plans in place.
Yes.
And, their portfolio has been regenerating itself, so they should never run out of money, which means that they can have the peace of mind and the fun of spending their money.
Yes.
Without the worry of going broke because of that. But one of the things that really, this is the part of the business that really lights me up, John. Both of their children said they were relaying this message to me, that they had just wanted mom and dad to be happy, but knowing that they finally had all of the resources in place to support their end-of-life care was something they were really grateful for, and they could care less about the big house.
Right. Yeah, because the responsibility as parents age, if they don't have those things in place, their children are thinking, and often they've got their own children to be taken care of. They could be caught in that middle place of, we might have to help our parents in ways we weren't imagining while we're still supporting children that haven't even hit college yet. So the way that they gave to their children by working with a planner who was so strategic, phenomenal. All right, we've got about a minute and a half left before our first break. Like I said, the time flies, Michael. What's a quick story you've got of another one that comes to your mind of a life-changing impact you had in someone's life?
Yeah, so, again, another couple that had cash flow issues with real estate. There were some family dynamics tied to it. I helped, it was a husband and wife, I helped her reposition a 401k account through an in-service transfer, which, by the way, you can only make at age 59 and a half, and that way she got that money really working for her in a better way, in a safer environment before she retired. But they owned some vacation property, and the entire family used it, and they were supposed to pay into it equally.
Right.
And, that didn't happen. And so here's a good lesson for the listeners. And it's a hard rule to follow. Try to avoid business deals with family, friends, folks from church and all of that. But, so to net it out, outside circumstances came in. They were forced to, sell that property. They were overextended with their, with their own property with HELOC. But after selling that property, they were able to pay off their HELOC and almost all of their first mortgage. And today, I'm proud to say that they have their money working for them once again. And their home's totally paid off, and they're living on 2 Social Security checks and a private pension. And so there are just many, many examples of this, John, that we help people with. But sometimes, people just need a little bit of leadership. They just need some coaching to really assess their current reality. Yeah.
Well, we are up against our first break. Always fascinated to hear the stories, and we've got more coming, so stay tuned. After the break, we're going to talk more with Michael Watkins, investment advisor representative, serial entrepreneur, and author. See you after the break.
Inspire, influence, and connect your audience with digital signage. Kaufman Media offers customizable digital signage solutions designed to meet your company's specific goals. Whether you need digital menu boards for your quick service restaurant, digital displays for marketing in your retail stores, or wayfinding and unified communications for your schools, your corporations, or your healthcare facility, our customizable, affordable options and proven experience make us the only partner you'll need for your next digital signage project. Visit kaufmanmedia.com today to learn more. That's COFFMAN media.com.
Remember the days when you first started your business? You wanted to make a difference. You wanted to add value to your loved ones, your future employees, your customers, and your community. Here at Accelerated Revenue, we focus on cost savings, customer and employee experience, and cash flow to help your business achieve more while doing less. Freedom. Contact us today to schedule a no-obligation introduction, either at our website, accrev.com, or give us a call at 614-789-3486.
check out John's worldwide selling book, Wow Your Customers, 7 Ways to World-Class Service on Amazon. Now, once again, here's John.
Welcome back to segment 2 of the Heroic Experience. So happy to have Michael Watkins with us as our guest. Before we go back to and get his story, we want to say that we're proudly sponsored by Kaufman Media. They have incredible digital signage solutions and far more than that. Check out their website, kaufmanmedia.com. That's spelled COFFMAN media.com. Michael Watkins, investment advisor representative, serial entrepreneur, and author of the 401k Revival. I devoured this book. Fascinating. Not just the nuts and bolts features and benefits we'll get to in the last segment, but the stories in here. Powerful. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. This is your opportunity because just as much of the client stories are fascinating to me and our listeners, we love to hear your story. So go back as far as you like and start there. What got your journey started to where you are now?
Okay, sure. Well, I guess starting at the beginning, I was born in Richmond, Virginia, and I grew up in a single-parent household with my mom. And you know, John, she encouraged me to work hard and be responsible, which I really took seriously. And, you know, being the firstborn male, I was my mom's little man from day one.
Right.
And so I got lucky. I scored a paper route and started delivering papers. And I think that's where I really got the entrepreneur bug. And, you know, I do things like washing cars, raking leaves, and shoveling snow, you know, the stuff kids can do. But here's the point. I paid cash for my first car, and that was a badge of honor that I wore proudly. So let's fast forward a bit. In college, I changed my major a few times. I felt frustrated, and, you know, I just didn't have a direction. And so I finally got the opportunity to move to Florida. And, you know, after arriving in Florida, I found a job in construction, and I think it was about after 6 months, I worked myself into a junior management position, and that really got me in front of bankers and some pretty high-level executives. And John, that really started to build my confidence, and I enjoyed it. But I remember one afternoon, a bank executive stopped by the job site, and we were having a pretty lighthearted conversation, and it's really funny, you know, to hear this guy in a fancy car in a suit actually had some of the same interests that I did. And so that's where I got the nerve to tell him of my intentions of starting my own cleaning company. And I'll never forget it, John. He stopped talking and he was quiet for a moment. And that was frightening to me because I thought he might rat me out, right?
Right.
I was going to leave my job.
Yeah, right.
But he paused. And he said, you know, I'm sick and tired of some of my branch managers complaining about the cleaning service, so I'll give you a shot at 3 of my branch banks, and we'll see how you do. And the rest is history, okay?
Wow.
So ultimately, I ended up employing 55 people, had a successful business going, and then came the downsizing in the late 1990s, and that's where this chapter ends.
Okay.
But my entrepreneurial spirit never dimmed. So I parlayed those connections with the bankers, started a pressure washing company, you know, service the bank's drive-through, provide window washing and parking lot maintenance, continued to invest those profits into my business. And before long, I had large commercial warehouse contracts, which was pretty, you know, satisfying for me. But I really felt something else pulling at me. And I ended up selling that business. And, you know, I was big into golf at the time. I patented a divot tool design, and I marketed that for a few years and bought and sold real estate, which I really enjoy. But then, guess what happened again? 2008, the real estate market collapsed. So basically on a whim, I started dabbling in stock market and commodities tradings. And, you know, through a series of events and introductions, I got the opportunity to move into the financial services space. And so I just want to point out, you know, over the years, I've been able to form some relationships with amazing people. And, you know, even though I had the opportunity to work for one of the world's largest institutions, I really felt I needed to carve out my own path as an independent advisor, and that's where I am today.
Yeah, your journey is so cool because so many of the guests that I've had, it seems like they've had this bug in them entrepreneurial, so to speak, either nurtured by others or just naturally had it and others helped develop it stronger, where they had that. I was selling poorly drawn and poorly colored pictures to my neighbors for a dime or a nickel when I was 7. I had that in me. Nobody told me to do that. And it sounds like when your mom told you, you took it and ran with it. Where others, it's literally like pulling teeth to try and get them to do the same thing you said. Of that entrepreneur spirit just seems to be common among some people and a lot of people that I talk to that are business owners. What I love about, as I read your book, I loved how business owners and entrepreneurs, that's a real heart of yours because you've had that. You've experienced what that's like, as opposed to some advisors where, and this is not a knock, this is what their life experience is to this point. They've got the degree, they've gone to school, and now they're working out what that's like in the field, as opposed to someone that's got this business background. How is that figured, that part of your story, how is that figured in when you're sitting down with someone for the very first time, whether they're an executive, a senior manager, a business owner, or an entrepreneur, Michael?
Yeah, well, I guess it goes back to, being an employer. I understand how difficult it is for people to work a job, raise a family,
yes,
enjoy life, and plan and save for the future all
right.
at the same time.
Yes.
And so I think when you go through the struggles yourself and you have the heartache and the heartbreak and the disappointment, all of those aren't roadblocks. They're really just detours steering you into the right direction. So that's, kind of how I view it. But, I have a pretty good sense, particularly when I work with business owners, what they're going through.
Yes.
And that's what I've really, created my business to help business owners and their employees. So it's really a double-edged sword there.
Yes, and a benefit of being a double-edged sword, not between a rock and a hard place, but a double-edged sword of you can be that much more effective for the business owner, and if they have employees, for the employees as well, because we know that financial pressures impact how people do their work, whether you're the owner, where the pressures are even more, or if you're an employee, where the pressures to you feel just as strong as the owner does. If you can help a business across the spectrum of not only the leadership, but the people that are part of the team, now you've impacted not just the business owner's experience, but the employee experience, which we then know translates to benefiting the customer experience. So it's a holistic benefit. What would you say has been one of the most intriguing businesses when you've sat down with a business owner, as we've got about 30 seconds or so before our next break, Michael? What would you say has been one of the most intriguing business models you've encountered in your advisory experience?
Oh gosh, there's so many, but So I guess I would say probably one of the manufacturing, definitely manufacturing sector, because manufacturers, they're a bit paranoid in a way, and that they have a reason for that. They have
Sure.
a lot of proprietary information that they hold on to, and they don't let people come into their plant very easily. And if you've ever been into a manufacturing plant, a lot of times you have to have these chip cards to move from room to room to room, and
Right.
clean spaces and that type of thing. But I'd have to say, obviously I can't mention any names or
Right.
companies and stuff, but yeah, manufacturing is definitely a really interesting business.
Cool.
It's part of their economy, and I love helping those folks with tax mitigation and
Great.
that type of thing.
All right, we are at our next break. We will see you at the third and final segment of our show.
Did you know that 70% of U.S. residents 12 and older recall seeing digital signage in the past week? Digital signage provides a 35% reduction in perceived wait time with a 30% increase in a customer's in-store browsing time. Kaufman Media offers customizable digital signage solutions designed to meet your company's specific goals. Christina said,
"We love our digital signage. The software is easy to use and we can publish content in minutes. It allows for every department to be seen and have a voice."
Visit kaufmanmedia.com today to learn more. That's COFFMAN media.com.
Attention business owners, could your company benefit from stronger cash flow and strategies to navigate disruption? Join us in November as Accelerated Revenue hosts an in-person free seminar here in Columbus, Ohio, with networking opportunities and engaging speakers that will both help grow your business in every economy. Stay tuned to this show, The Heroic Experience, for more details, or visit our website, accrev.com. That's accrev.com.
Would you like to be a guest on the Heroic Experience? Contact us at john.hansen@accrev.com. Now, once again, here's John.
Welcome back to the third and final segment of the Heroic Experience show, proudly sponsored by Kaufman Media. Check out their digital signage solutions and more at their website, kaufmanmedia.com, spelled COFFMAN media.com. Happy to have Michael Watkins, investment advisor representative, serial entrepreneur, and author of the brand new book, The 401k Revival, as our guest today. Michael, we're in this last segment where we really go into the distinctives. But before we touch on those, on the distinctives, I wanted to ask you about your book. I have written a book myself. I know the process that goes into it, but you have even some more hurdles to navigate as you're a financial advisor. I did not have those. If you could briefly touch on those, then I'll get into the nuts and bolts of what you do as an advisor.
Yeah, sure. There's this thing called compliance.
Yes.
And anyone that's a financial advisor understands that very well. And in a nutshell, compliance is a bunch of attorneys that are splitting hairs on what could be deemed promissory statements and that type of thing.
Right.
And so, so there were a few revisions in the book because it's something that I'm really passionate about.
Yes.
And I go about it with gusto. But, so the compliance police kind of slowed me down a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. It took 11 months to write the book.
Yeah. Well, where can they get a copy of the 401k Revival, Michael?
Yeah, well, I think the best place would be at the401krevival.com.
Okay.
It's also available on Barnes & Noble. It's on Amazon as well.
Okay.
However, Amazon has some glitches with it right now. But, 401krevival.com.
Best place. Got it. All right. Well, tell us about your practice and some distinctives, Michael. We'd love to hear that.
Okay, sure. Well, it's really through a lot of hard work and experience, John, that I've created a niche practice that really has a national reach. Mm-hmm. And, by the way, I've listened to and collaborated with some of the smartest people in the industry. And, today I have an amazing inner circle of professionals that not only serve me, but help me serve my clients as well.
Yeah.
And so, but, professionally, I'm an investment advisor representative, which, qualifies me as a legal fiduciary, which is the Series 65 registration. I'm licensed in insurance for life and annuities, and I'm a registered financial consultant. But, I learned early on, John, that a retirement portfolio is more than numbers.
Yes.
It really has emotions attached to it.
Yep.
And I've learned to listen carefully and uncover fears and concerns regarding people's current reality so that I can help them navigate those waters.
Yes. Yeah, and dreams attached too, because the emotions are often attached to something that doesn't really have anything to do with money, sometimes not even stuff that money can buy. Oftentimes it's pressures, responsibilities, worries, future concerns. And by coming along as a partner that can listen to those things, active listening is one of those skills no matter what field you're in. If you can ask well-worded questions, actively listen, and then respond, you can find the way to identify what's most important to the person sitting across from you, because it's not the actual thing you do. They can find that literally anywhere. But it's how you're going about doing it that shows that you care about them. What are some of the high-impact areas you work on, Michael?
Yeah, so, helping business owners with tax mitigation is something that I enjoy, John, but I need to be very clear. I'm not a CPA or an EA, an enrolled agent. Mm-hmm. However, I do understand the mechanics of how this works, and I've seen some amazing results come from, implementing the right tax strategies. So for me, I'm simply a quarterback in that area. I simply, make the right introductions, and I'll let the tax experts do their thing.
Yes.
But here's a question I often ask regarding taxes. Who knows better how to spend your money, you or the government?
I think we all know that answer, especially in recent times. But hey, if you've been around long enough, you know how these cycles go. It doesn't matter who's in the White House or who's in Congress. We've got enough historical data to prove that it should be the business owner, should be the entrepreneur, should be the executive. They should be the ones that know best how to spend their money.
Absolutely. And it's funny. We always seem to get past that question rather quickly, but just imagine redirecting thousands or maybe even hundreds of thousands of tax dollars towards other opportunities like new equipment, new hires, property improvements, vehicles, or, hey, maybe even into your retirement savings. And so, so we work in that area, also in buy-sell agreements and key man insurance for, major players in a company, which could be a very important factor when someone's trying to get a loan. We help business owners with large life insurance policies as a future tax shelter, and also backdoor Roth strategies that help sidestep the Roth income limits. And, for professionals like realtors and just individuals that don't have employees, we can help them set up a solo 401k that gives, tremendous flexibility because they can use a Roth component on the contribution side and then a tax-deferred component on the profit-sharing side. So they have tremendous flexibility and actually flexibility on contributions as well. So if they're experiencing lean times, they can, suspend those.
Well, that brings up something when we had a fascinating conversation. It lasted a couple hours we had together, Michael, and I really enjoyed that. And then I got to dive into the book as well. One thing that came to my mind as you were sharing just now is a question that some people might think, well, I can't afford a 401k. I'm a business owner. I've only got a handful of employees. 401k plans are for those big companies. They've got the dollars. They've got the people that can handle that. I don't want to go into that, or maybe they had an experience that wasn't that great. We've got about a minute or so left. Would you talk on that point of setting up a 401k as a small business owner?
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, I happen to be doing one right now for two owners and two employees.
Okay.
And so that's really an area, John, that I think people need to really need leadership on, because most people just go online and, look for the Schwabs and the, Fidelities and the Transamericas of the world and all of that. And I can tell you that there are plan providers that are much better suited for, the small business owner. And here's something that I believe that your guests don't know, John. Today, you can have your 401k account monitored by professional 401k managers, and they're referred to as Section 338 investment managers. So they can actively manage the account and make the necessary adjustments in the event of a market crash. And, so another thing, too, that's important for business owners to understand is that by having outside a third-party fiduciary investment advisors take care of the plan, it reduces their legal exposure and fiduciary obligations on day one.
Amazing. Gosh, the time always flies, Michael. I'm so happy to have you with us here on The Heroic Experience. I learned a ton from talking with you, from reading your book. I highly encourage you get a copy of the 401k Revival if you're listening to this. You can listen to our podcast. It's on across so many social media channels, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, but you can also find it on YouTube, on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. You can find us so many ways. Make sure you get a copy of Michael's book. And again, we will look forward to hearing you and seeing you again on the next episode of The Heroic Experience.
This has been The Heroic Experience. To learn how your business can be profitable and heroic, visit ACCREV.com. For access to free weekly content, subscribe to the Accelerated Revenue YouTube channel and follow John D. Hanson on LinkedIn. To listen to archived shows, find them on the Accelerated Revenue website under the Resources tab, ACCREV.com.